Hi, welcome to the second episode of our podcast. We watched some movies in between the last episode and this one, and we're going to talk about them. But first, a few things. One, we'd like to thank our friends in the band Geese for letting us use their music for our intro music. You should check them out on Spotify, Bandcamp, and wherever else you listen to your music. And also, if you hear background noise from me, like people cooking, it's because it's right before Passover, and we're making a Seder. So, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Alright, so today we watched Kirikou and The Sorceress. It's a animated film, as you know, it's Animation Week. And who was the director? Hold on.
His name was, I think it's Marcel Ocelot.
It's... What?
It's something like that, yeah.
Wait, what?
It's a white French filmmaker.
White?
Yeah, did you
Are
know
you
that?
serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that
Kirikou
ruins
was,
it for me.
It was written and directed by a white French guy.
But, okay. It's just because, you know, as a kid, right, part of the appeal was thinking that this was like a West African film made by a West African guy.
No, it's not a West African film.
That kind of hurts a
French
little
film.
bit. It's still a good film.
Yeah, it is a good film. But also one thing, I mean, before we get into it, there's a good amount of nudity in the film.
There's a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was really pressured by his American and British financiers to cut out the nudity and put clothes on everyone. But he absolutely refused, not because he enjoyed animating nude people, but because he didn't want to sacrifice the culture of the people who he was talking about just to appease his censors, basically.
Yeah.
So, even though he is a white French filmmaker making a film about a West African tribe, I mean, I'm not West African, so I can't speak to how truthful or respectful it is, but it feels pretty respectful to me.
I mean,
obviously, it's not truthful since it's a myth. You know, it's like a fairy tale. But you know,
I mean, my dad's Nigerian, so he showed it to me and my siblings as kids, and you know, I kind of thought that this was like one of the rare instances where like a West African movie or like an African film is like hailed as a classic. I guess not. You know, it's still a great movie, and you know, I think it's accurate. I guess. I mean, I wouldn't know.
I mean, as accurate as a
as
fairy
we
tale
think it
be,
is.
you know.
Yeah,
right. So it's like what? So
yeah,
what do we know?
It's still a great film.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, before we get into it, if you do want to watch a really great film by a West African filmmaker, watch Black Girl by Ousmane Sembene. It's from 1966. It was one of the first films to come out of Africa, written and directed by an African filmmaker. Not when a white American studio goes to Africa and makes their movie. It was made by people in Africa about issues that they felt were relevant to them, and it's a great movie. It's like an hour long. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Kirikou and The Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, essentially, I mean, the quick rundown of the film. It's basically about a really small boy named Kirikou. He how do I put this? He births himself.
It's a weird movie.
Yeah, he literally crawls out of his mom's womb. You know, pulls out the umbilical cord and everything. He knows how to speak fluent English as well.
Well, that wasn't English dub.
That was the English dub, but he knows how to speak.
And it was also really funny that in the English dub there were still subtitles, but the subtitles I think were from the
French,
the original
right?
like French version.
Yeah.
So it was funny to see how things weren't fully translating, which was cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry, keep going.
But yeah, no. So essentially, it's called Kirikou and the Sorceress because there's a sorceress who's terrorizing a town, blackmailing the people. Basically your classic folktale stealing
Yeah.
everything. It's about growth, and bravery, basically, and
And
those
friendship.
and
And
friendship.
friendship.
Yeah, um,
There's a big part of it that's about friendship.
yeah, and watching the movie for some reason, regardless of how just weird it is, the only thing that I could think of, like upon second viewing, was just stalagmite boobs. Do you know what a stalagmite is?
I know what you mean, but keep in mind that this was an animated film for children.
I know, and
So please,
you know that was that
I'm
was
gonna have to
my
mark this podcast as like explicit now. Thanks a
okay,
lot.
but like that was my only that was like my only memory before watching this a second time. Like I just remember just like really sharp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's a
But
weird
there's
movie.
A lot more to this movie.
There's
than
a
just
lot more.
that. No, there's
a lot
much more.
Than stalagmite boobs.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, those are there. They exist in the film.
Yep.
But yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. So
One of sorry to totally cut you off.
no.
One of the things that I really liked about the film was the way that it was animated. I thought was really cool. I mean, it's really well animated. It looks. I think the version that we were watching wasn't the best like
Quality.
resolution or quality, but it was one that we watched, and even then, like it still looked like a kind of a cheap animated movie, but it was still really nice to look at, and it had a whole bunch of very colorful backgrounds and different color palettes, which I thought was really cool, and relates to the other movie that we were gonna watch today, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And I also just like the movie. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's really fun. You know, it's a really fun like adventure movie, and it's a really good time. It's very funny, in really strange ways, especially because you have this like little kid who literally has just been born, and he's running so fast, and there are these shots of him where he's running. And the camera is like tracking with him, and he's running down a road, and there are like flowers and trees next to him when he's running, and it looks so goofy, and it's spectacular.
It's
just
like,
so funny.
Imagine a literal fetus just running around, and that's basically what it is. But that's also partly
it's a really
because
quick
of the
movie. It's
pacing
an
of the
hour
movie. Because it's essentially like a folktale. You know, it's like one of those stories your parents would tell you so that you stay out of trouble. Like this monster's gonna come out of the closet. Not like that.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Not like that.
We get
but
it.
yeah, because it has those origins. The story has to take itself in a really it has to approach it really quickly. Things just kind of happen. You know, he's literally born knowing how to speak complete whole sentences. He can run. He's brave. And the story just kind of
I think
you know
there are some parts of the movie where you really need to just like shut off I mean, yes, it's a kids movie, so of course it's not going to be, perfectly 100% logical, but like some stuff with the ending, which I don't know if I'll necessarily spoil and like say what happens in the ending, because hopefully you'll want to watch this movie too, because it is really worth watching. But there are some plot holes and sort of logical jumps that I didn't fully understand, and maybe that's because that it is a kids movie and it's a folktale, and folktales obviously don't usually make the most sense. But, like, there's a scene where a full-grown adult kisses a baby, and I was like, what the hell is going on? But I guess he wasn't a baby, but also
Hansen.
maybe he was, so I don't really know. Right, but then he
was
grows.
a baby.
Well, so that's a spoiler alert. I don't know. There are some logical jumps, but I feel like it's really easy to forgive those logical jumps in this kind of movie when it's like so, like the movie has so much charm, and there's so much fun to it, and also the music is really good, and it was done by a really famous African composer whose name I do not know, but I was reading some stuff about this movie. So with a movie that's like this much fun, it's really easy to just go past all the plot issues and just go along for the ride, which I think is a really good part about this film.
It's the smart way to approach this movie, because if you're trying to look at it from like another way, it's just you're not gonna have fun. You have to just kind of watch it, just enjoy it for what it is.
If you're watching this movie and thinking like, why does this baby who just crawled out of his mom have a head of hair and speaking English and can walk, you're not gonna have a good time. So don't think those thoughts. Just go like, oh, you know what? This guy, he's got magic powers. He's running really fast. Also, really quickly, there are scenes in this movie that feel like Ratatouille. Like there's the scene where there's a scene where Kirikou gets in a hat and crawls on top of his uncle's head. And I was like, oh, it's like in Ratatouille. And then there's another scene where he literally controls a warthog because he's going on a journey to fight the sorceress. He controls a warthog by standing on its head and like kicking it to go in different directions. And Kirikou is literally tiny. Like, he's as small as Remy. So, could it be a good movie to watch with Ratatouille?
Look,
I don't know.
Look, I don't know about you, but...
probably not.
I feel like Ratatouille 100%. Copied this movie.
I think...
Yeah,
I think that Ratatouille copied Ratatouille. No, it's the other way around.
What?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
What?
Do you not know the movie Ratatouille? Yeah, basically, really quickly, we're getting so off topic, but I guess once we got past the first episode, we're like gone. There's an animation company that anytime Pixar releases a movie, they release a movie that's very similar, and they change the name. It's like Ratatouille, they released Ratatouille about a rat that can cook, but it's really poorly animated. And the hope is that a kid will say, like, Mom, let's watch Ratatouille, and the first thing will pop up is Ratatouille, and they go, oh, it's this movie, so they'll buy it, and they'll go, wait, this isn't the movie, and then they will have paid, $2.99 to do it. I mean, like, Mooster's been doing this for so long.
It's like that really bad Pacific Rim ripoff that's called Atlantic Rim.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, let's get back on topic. Because it's got to be 30 minutes or else I have to pay more money for podcast hosting, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, man, I completely forgot.
We were talking about we were talking about sort of the logical inconsistencies, but why in a movie like this it doesn't really matter much.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter. He gets farted on by a skunk twice, and I just want to put that out there.
I don't know. Like, what else do you have to say about the movie?
It's pretty fun if you're into that type of stuff. So what did you think there were any themes? Like, the movie was trying to...
For a kid's movie, it's pretty clearly spelled out what the themes are. It's like bravery, friendship.
Yeah.
There are all these scenes where Kirikou, who's like this little baby, wants to give up, but then people are there to say like, no, don't give up. You have to keep pushing on. And one thing that I actually really, really liked in this kid's movie, which I guess maybe other kids' movies do. I mean, I guess Toy Story 4 did it with their villain, but obviously that was 20 years after this movie was made.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where Kirikou's talking to his grandpa about the evil sorceress, and Grandpa's telling him all this stuff about how most of the stuff that he hates about the sorceress is actually not real, but it's what the town believes, which I thought was a really sort of, maybe it's not bold, but just an interesting thing to do in a kid's movie, to say like, well, like not everything you hear is true, like not everyone is hated for the reasons that they're hated, which I thought was a really good message actually, which I really appreciated. Also, like what the scene with his grandpa, like that's nothing to do with the themes, but it's such a well done like moment, like the music and the way everything is animated and the voice acting is really great in this movie. And I'm pretty sure that if not all of them, most of the voice actors are African actors.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, like usually
that's great.
They would cast like some white guy to do it. Like in Lilo and Stitch, I had no idea that Lilo was not voiced by a Hawaiian actor. It was voiced by some white girl who grew up in L.A.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I mean, I guess Lilo
basically
and Stitch
Hawaiian.
Is a little different. Yeah, basically.
He's basically Hawaiian.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that the voice actors were actually African, just because for the English dub, I mean, I didn't know that the original was them speaking French, and then
Yeah.
after a bit of research, French is like a prominent language in West Africa.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So yeah, so I thought that they just got a bunch of like white guys with horrible accents to do it, because I was listening and the accents didn't sound like what I was used to. But
So now you're
after a bit of
saying
research, I
that the
realized
African actors have horrible African accents?
basically that's what I'm saying.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, I mean
Okay.
that's good. You learn something new.
Every
I
day.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you think of the plot? Like the speed. Did you think?
I actually really liked it. I really like short movies. Like, I'm more than happy to sit down. Well, I'm not more than happy, but if there's like a movie that I really want to watch and it's like 4 hours long, then I'll sit down and watch it. But more often than not, if a movie is like 90 minutes long and it can say everything it needs to say and do everything that it needs to do and be a good movie, like a fun movie to watch and a good time, that makes me really happy, you know? And this movie is like an hour and 15 minutes long or something.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like that short length also can be attributed to it being a kid's movie. But I feel like, the plot wasn't stretched like too thin. There's one thing that I think maybe I would take out, which is where he like fake dies, like 20 minutes in. And then there's like a 3-minute like singing scene where they like bring him back to life. I think like you could cut that, just because you don't need him to fake die like 10 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the pace of the movie actually. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
hour and 15 minutes. It's not hard to watch. But when you watch it, even though it's by a white French filmmaker, I feel like it gives a pretty... Well, I don't know, actually, if it gives a pretty good view or not. But I think it's worth watching, I don't know what I'm saying. What the hell am I saying? Basically, I really like the pacing of the movie. Yeah, there are some logical inconsistencies and plot stuff, but I think that stems from being a folktale and a myth.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from them thinking like, well, this movie needs to be an hour and 10 minutes, and if it isn't, then we're not going to get our money. Which might
Yeah.
also have been the case, but I don't know.
This is one of those movies that your school would show you on like one of those off days. When you show up to class but the teacher doesn't want to teach.
Yeah.
So they just roll in like the giant TV, give you like cupcakes and just like let you watch it. And then they realize there's nudity. But
Yeah.
it's too late.
But it's not nudity in like a rated
not like
R.
it's not like
it's-
inappropriate.
No, it's not.
You know.
It's not inappropriate.
It's just
I think
breasts, that's like
yeah.
a normal thing.
And like the main character is naked.
Is completely naked
Yeah.
the entire time.
but it's not done in a like exploitative way. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
animated movie for kids. It's like they're like close-ups
Yeah.
and like the camera never like ogles anyone, because I think actually one thing that I really appreciated as well. I mean, yes, again, it's directed by a white French filmmaker and it's a West African folktale, but it never like looked at this village and this story and like laughed at it and like made fun of it or like made it less than it is, which I feel like sometimes is the case when people are adapting a story from an experience that isn't their own. Like I feel like there can be a tendency to sometimes slip into the mindset of saying like, well, this isn't mine, like isn't this kind of funny that all the women are naked, but that's never the case. And I feel like this was actually a really respectful way of taking a story that not from your experience and producing it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, it's a very natural
Yeah.
thing. Like I've only been to Nigeria I think like 3 times in my entire life. But the last time I went, I saw a lot of the same things. Like people are very comfortable being naked. And that's like obviously a whole like cultural shift compared to, the West. But people are a lot more comfortable being naked in public and it's like it's a very natural occurrence. It's not like I feel like this movie handled it very well and made it seem like a natural thing rather than just like, okay, well, this is what I think, so I'm gonna throw it in. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Me too. Okay. If you're gonna rate this movie out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 5. Just that's probably a nostalgia goggles clouding my vision, but yeah, I saw this movie as a kid. I really liked it. Some of those songs stuck with me, and I still
Some of them
remember
are
them.
good songs,
They are really good songs. They're
but
really
the
catchy too.
English translation of the French does not rhyme.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Like I kept reading
But
the subtitles, where it was like he is small, but so brave. And I was like, that doesn't rhyme. But there's the other one where it's like he is mighty, but tiny. I don't know. It was whatever. It was something
no,
that
they
rhymed.
slap.
Yeah, no, they're
they're
actually
bangers.
they're good. Well, but like the music in the movie
Put them on
was
SoundCloud.
really really good.
Yeah,
I really like the
and
music.
and it really added. Like I also noticed that those were really the only instances where there was music.
Yeah, it was the town singer.
They
Well-
didn't have any tension building
Yeah,
soundtracks in
But
the
there was
background,
music
even when
when
there
he
were
was,
tense
like-
moments.
but there was music when he was like crawling around and when he was like running
Yeah,
to
but
the boat.
It was really all like low key stuff. It didn't overtake any of what you're watching, which I feel like a lot of movies do. Like, for example, the newest Star Wars.
This kid.
People, I won't give my opinions, but people were complaining because there were some like important scenes in the movie that
How about-
didn't have music.
How
at
about
all.
instead of saying people are complaining, just say I was upset.
No. When I say people were complaining, I mean
Oh my god.
there were countless YouTube videos on my feed about like okay, I put Duel of the Fates from episode 3 into this scene where they're fighting, and I feel like that's one of those instances where a big movie is so held back by like music just because
Yeah.
the scene, like the tension of the scene is taken away because there's no sound. But in this movie, there was almost no music playing at all in like any of the tense moments or
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah.
yeah, in like the tense moments.
Yeah.
And it still felt, entertaining to watch. It didn't
Yeah,
feel
and
like,
the,
wow, this is really silent.
The music wasn't used as a tool to manipulate you into feeling something. It was more used as a world building thing, world building thing. So it was less of like this person could die. Here's spooky music, but it was more of like this person's like walking like through his town. This is what it sounds like. This is what it feels like.
This
so
is
it
like
just
the everyday
built
thing.
more empathy towards the film, which that was really good.
Yeah.
What
what would you rate the movie?
Well, let's do your rating one more time because you said your rating and
yeah.
we talked for like 5 more minutes.
Oh yeah, okay, so my rating is 5 out of 5 because of nostalgia, which I know isn't valid, but it's still there. And it's also just like a really fun movie to watch. I could probably watch it again if I wanted to right now. But
Yeah, well, not right now because
About
we're
you.
recording a podcast.
not right now,
but
'cause
in
we're
like
doing this
20 minutes when
But
we're
like
done.
yeah, like 20 minutes after I
got
eat
it.
like a peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you?
I gave it a 4 out of 5. I mean, a 4 out of 5 is like pretty good. It's a very fun movie.
That's a good rating.
Yeah, it's just like a really good time. Don't take it too seriously. Also, if you are gonna go watch it, I feel like there were some things that were lost in translation a little bit. Like especially the villain calls her like minions fetishes, which as an American that sounds very different than it might sound to either a French person or a West African person or whoever else is watching this movie.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go watch it, don't like nitpick everything and say like, oh, like this is weird. I can't believe they said this and that. Like I can't believe these people are naked. Just go with the movie because it is really worth it. Yeah.
Also, don't hold it to the same standards that you would like a Western animated film, like a Disney film, because it's not a Disney film.
Yeah, it's also
it
it
has,
was
like,
also a very
similar pacing.
cheap film as well.
It's cheap, yeah.
Which sort of shows, but
animation
also is
quality
not
may
a
not
big
be as
issue.
fluid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's one last thing, one last tip to watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Don't watch it with your family. Don't watch it around your family.
Why not?
Don't watch it
literally
around your
a
family
kid's
if they're
movie.
if they're the type of people that will cover your eyes during a sex scene.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
because like
No,
there are
okay,
a lot
that's
of
fair.
there's a lot of nudity, and a lot of parents are,
Yeah.
sensitive. So
Fair enough.
yeah, just lock yourself in a room. Say you're doing homework.
But then that gets a little creepy because if someone walks in and they see you watching this animated movie with all these naked people in it, then maybe things can be misconstrued.
Just hide it in your
Look,
flash drive
man,
or
it's
put it in
a
your,
kids
homework
movie.
folder.
It's really good. You should go and watch it. Yeah,
You
it's
should watch it, regardless.
especially right now when you have nothing else to do because you're in quarantine. It's just like a really bright, bubbly, fun movie.
Yeah.
And I recommend it. I'm assuming you recommend it because you gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
So we're gonna move on to the other movie. We were initially gonna watch The Adventures of Prince Ahmed, but that got taken off of the Criterion Channel like 3 days ago, so we couldn't watch it.
Wah, wah,
But
wah.
the filmmaker, Lotte something, she was a German filmmaker. I'm sorry. I'll tell you right now. I'll look it up. While I'm looking it up, I'll just give you the brief spiel. So we were going to watch The Adventures of Prince Ahmed. It's credited as the first animated feature ever made from 1926. German film. It's like an hour and 10 minutes long. But we couldn't watch it. So we watched some of her short films from a few years before she made The Adventures of Prince Ahmed. The one that we watched on YouTube that was 15 minutes long was Cinderella, directed by Lotte Reininger.
Oh man, this guy didn't know her name. We got Steve.
No,
Harvey
I knew her name. I didn't mean that. It's just, that's okay. And so we watched Cinderella. It's 15 minutes from 1922 or 1924. Yeah, it's from 1922. It's the basic Cinderella story, which I'm sure most people know.
Yeah.
But the way that it was done, I thought was really, really cool because this was not like a drawn animation. This was literally at the opening of the movie. She said like everything you see before you was made with scissors and paper, because everything, the backgrounds, the people, were basically paper cutouts placed in front of wax paper with a light behind them.
Yeah,
and
like
so
South
it's sort
Park.
of, yeah, a little bit like South Park, but like 70 years earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really cool. The movie was completely silent because it was from 1922. So of course it was silent. And I guess it was like a little boring, just because it's your basic Cinderella story, so there's nothing new there. But the animation style I thought was really great. I thought the animation style was really great. It makes me want to really watch Prince Ahmed because I know it's that animation style just with some more money and more time put behind it. So what did you think of the short film?
I also like the animation. Animation
the
style.
Animation, yeah.
I like the anime. I like the animation style. I always feel like movies or just things back then. Like I'm not like an old film person. Like I don't really like older films, but I always feel like there's a level of care put into them, just because there isn't as much resource.
Well,
I guess
the short film of Cinderella I think took 3 years to make.
Yeah, for a short film,
which is crazy for like a 15-minute. I mean, maybe it wasn't 3 years, but it was like 15 minutes. Paper and scissors, cutting out people and moving them around using strings. It's crazy.
That's impressive.
Oh well, really quickly, let me tell you what movies we're gonna watch next. The movies we're gonna be watching for Friday are A Silent Voice, which is on Netflix, which should be on Netflix, and the Japanese version of Akira, which is on Hulu. Subs, not dubs. I'm so sorry.
So weeaboo.
No, I'm just, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so we're going to be watching A Silent Voice and Akira. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
All right.
Please keep listening. Have
a great quarantine.
Don't die. Because then our viewership will go
please.
down.
All right. from 2 to 1.
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.